Welcome back to Dishing You Well. I hope all is well. Glad to see y'all back. Today, I'm a little bit excited because I have something special for y'all today. Today, I will be showing you how to make a delicious Salisbury steak meal. Super easy, within no time. So you really don't want to miss it. So without further ado, I'm just going to go right into all the ingredients you'll be needing today. Alright, so we're back with the ingredients you'll be needing today. What I have here is 1.5 pounds of ground beef. I'm using 80-20 today. Feel free to use whatever percentage you prefer. You're also going to need 3 large eggs. French onion soup mix. I'm using the original. You can use the beef flavored. Browning sauce. Onion powder. Seasoning salt. Garlic powder. Cornstarch. Breadcrumbs. Cream of mushroom. And I know a lot of people don't like mushrooms, so if you wanted to use cream of beef, cream of chicken, even cream of celery, it'll be totally fine. You're going to need a variety of colored peppers. I'm using a green bell pepper today and a red bell pepper. You're also going to need a large to medium onion, Worcestershire sauce, and ketchup. And that's pretty much all the ingredients you're going to need today to make your Salisbury steak. So what I'll do now is I'm going to get these vegetables cut up and we'll go right into the next step. Let's go. All right, so I have all of my vegetables chopped up. I have my green peppers chopped up, my red peppers chopped up, and I also have my onions chopped up. You want to chop the green peppers and onions up fairly small since we're forming patties to make the Salisbury steak, but you want to leave some of them in strips like this to go inside of the dish towards the end. But most of it you want to chop up fairly small like this. I have my 3 eggs ready. So now we're pretty much ready to form our patties. Well, we're going to get the meat and the seasonings and vegetables combined so we can go into forming our patties. I have my 1.5 pounds of ground beef right here. You want to basically chop that up. You want it chopped fairly small so it'll make the forming process easier. I like to go in with seasoning salt lightly first, just to make sure that the beef does have seasoning on it, just a little bit, before I add all of the vegetables. Next, I'm going to go in and I'm going to add the green peppers, red peppers, the onions, make sure that's all in, combine it as much as you can. You never want to overwork your meat. Overworking your meat, handling it too much, will end up in having tough Salisbury steak or tough burger. So you don't want to overwork it. Just basically combine it. I have to grab a fork. Make sure you don't add your eggs directly to the meat mixture, because you don't want to have a bad egg, and once you put it in there, it's too late. So you basically want to add it to a separate bowl first and beat it. It'll just make it easier to combine if you beat it in a separate bowl instead of just adding the egg right in there. You want to add that mixture. And you also want to add a 1/2 cup to a cup of breadcrumbs. I'm going to start with a 1/2 cup. It's like 3/4 cup of breadcrumbs. And you just want to start working that in. Again, you don't want to overwork it to make your meat tough, but you just want to make sure that it's combined. Next, you want to add in just a splash or two of Worcestershire sauce. That's it. The Worcestershire sauce can have like a tangy taste to it, so that's the reason why you want to add your ketchup to balance it out. The ketchup will add a little bit of sweetness. It's not going to make your dish sweet at all. It's just going to balance the tanginess of the Worcestershire sauce. You're going to go in with your onion powder. Garlic powder. Mix that a little more. Make sure everything's combined. Don't forget the sides. You want to make sure the sides and the bottom is well incorporated. Again, you don't want to over mix it. We're going to get in there with our hands in a little while. Make sure your hands are impeccably clean. You definitely want to do that in the beginning process, and you want to do it again before you get ready to go back in and form the patties. Okay, that's mixed enough. Now you want to go in and add another sprinkle of seasoning salt. See, now you're going to season all of the breadcrumbs and the eggs and everything else. That's just to make sure that gets seasoned. That's enough. Mix that. So this is pretty much combined. I don't want to overwork it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in, wash my hands again, and when I come back, I'll show you how to form the patties. So now that we have our mixture all mixed and combined, and we have our hands impeccably clean, we're going to go into forming the patties. So the way that I like to form the patties is you pretty much just want to make burgers with more of an oval shape. So it's pretty much the same way you would combine ground beef into making burgers, but more of an oval shape. You can make it round if you like. It's really your preference. But you want to make sure that you add an indentation in the middle. Like basically make a hole in the middle so that when it cooks, it doesn't puff up at the top. And that's pretty much it. That's the shape that you're looking for. Sort of like a football, a flattened football. So that's one. And you can make them as big or as small as you'd like, depending on how many you're feeding. But you just want to form a football that's flattened, and make sure you make an indentation in the middle, just like so. So I'm pretty much going to finish the rest of these, and when I come back, I'll show you how we'll get these into a skillet and get them fried up. See you in a bit. So now, after I've thoroughly washed my hands, since we handled raw meat, you want to make sure that you always thoroughly wash your hands after handling any raw meat. You don't want to cross-contaminate any bacteria. We're ready to put the Salisbury steaks inside of the skillet and get them fried up. I've rendered, as you can see, I rendered 6 Salisbury steaks off of that 1.5 pounds of ground beef. So we're ready to basically put the Salisbury steaks onto the skillet. I have my fire, or my heat is at a medium. You want to make sure that the oil, I have a half an inch of vegetable oil in the bottom of the pan. You want to make sure that it's extremely hot because you want to seal these closed. You don't want the oil not to be hot because you want it to be sealed so they won't fall apart. So now we're pretty much ready to put the Salisbury steaks inside of the skillet. I might be able to put 3 in there. We'll see. You want to gently lay them in there. Again, you want the indentation in the middle so it doesn't puff up. But you want to gently lay them in there. Yeah, I think I'll be able to get 3 in there. You don't want to crowd the pan, but I think I'll be able to put 3 in there. There you go. And you want to cook these for around 6 minutes on each side. You want to make sure that it's definitely sealed before you flip it. You'll know that it's ready to turn because you'll see it browning around the edges. Once it's browned around the edges, you're okay to flip them. So 6 minutes on each side, and then we'll be ready to go into the next step. In the meantime, make sure that your oven is already heated to 350 because once these are all done, we're going to put them in the oven. But for now, we're going to get these browned up, and then we'll be ready for the next step. I'll see you when we get back. All right, so while your Salisbury steaks are frying up, you can actually start on your sauce. So what I have here is 2 cups of water. And to that 2 cups of water, I'm going to add 1 packet of the French onion soup mix. So I'm going to add that into the water. And I'm going to mix that up. So you want to add your French onion soup mix to the water. Combine it well. And then I'm going to take the cream of mushroom soup mix. Well, the cream of mushroom soup. I'm going to open that. And I'm going to add the full can to the mixture. Make sure you scrape the sides and get all of it. And we're going to give that a stir. You want to make sure it's very well combined. This is going to be the gravy for your Salisbury steak. That's the oven at 350. So to that, you're going to add just a half a teaspoon of cornstarch. Don't add any more than that, just a half a teaspoon. To the mixture. And what that is going to do is it's going to thicken it, but it's also going to give it a sheen. It's going to give it a nice shiny gravy. So you want to add that to the mixture and give that a good stir. You also want to add a little bit of seasoning salt, not a lot. The French onion soup mix has sodium in it, so you don't need to add a lot. And you've also seasoned the Salisbury steak, so you don't want to overdo that. And as you can see, right here in this pan, remember the leftover vegetables, the green peppers, I said keep them in whole slices because it's going to go inside of the sauce. Add that to the bottom of your pan before you add the mushroom onion soup gravy mix. So once you've mixed that enough, you can start to pour that inside of the pan. This pan is going to go in the oven. The oven is already preheated to 350. Make sure you give that a good stir. Also, to that mixture, you want to add your browning sauce. You can also add soy sauce, but if you do use soy sauce, you can cut back on adding as much seasoning salt because soy sauce has a lot of sodium in it. So the browning sauce will give you a very dark gravy. You want your gravy to be dark, so give that a good stir. And even though the gravy looks fairly dark now, once you bake it in the oven for around an hour, it's going to be a lot darker. You'll see. So give that a good stir. And you're pretty much done. So now all is to it is to basically add your Salisbury steak, put it in the oven for 1 hour, and you're almost ready. So what I'll do is I'll add the Salisbury steaks inside of the sauce and I'll come right back. So our Salisbury steaks are pretty much browned up. They're not done. They're not fully cooked, but they're going to cook the rest of the way in the oven. But they're ready to put inside of the gravy. So you can just place them inside of the gravy. And it's just enough room. And cover them with the sauce. You want to make sure that every inch of the Salisbury steak gets a little bit of gravy. Don't be stingy. And those white spots you see, that's actually the onions from the French onion soup. That's going to cook down in the oven, so don't worry about that. That's delicious flavor. So this is pretty much ready to go in the oven. I have one more step. This is actually when I would add my sliced mushrooms, but you know everybody don't eat mushrooms, so this is a good time to add your sliced onions. Remember I said leave some of the vegetables sliced whole, so you can add it to the dish towards the end. I love onions, so if you're not a person who likes onions, you can skip this step. It'll be totally fine. But we like onions over here. So now that the onions are in the dish, your dish is pretty much ready to go in the oven. You're going to set your oven to 350. As I said, you're going to leave it in the oven for 1 hour. After 1 hour, you're going to check on it. It'll probably be pretty much done. But after that, we're almost ready to enjoy our delicious Salisbury steak. So I'm going to place this in the oven. I'll be back in an hour and we'll finish up. All right, so it's been 1 hour. The Salisbury steak is complete. There you have it. Delicious, moist, tender, flavorful Salisbury steak. So there we have it. Delicious, moist Salisbury steak. And check out that gravy. Oh man. And look at how tender that Salisbury steak is. You gotta be here to understand it. There you have it. Dinner served. That's what you call delicious, tender, moist Salisbury steak. As always, I'm dishing you well. Until next time, y'all stay blessed.